Welcome, 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 everybody. How are you, Lab Coat agents? We're so excited to get this session today. I will be your host, Shantae Patton Golar, long time LCA agent over here. Today, I want to introduce you to Nora Simmons.
Simpson,
And
Simpson, like the yellow cartoon people, like
oh,
Lisa Simpson.
like Homer.
Like think of
So
Lisa.
I
Like
was
I'm a lot like Lisa Simpson. I usually wear glasses, but
I normally wear glasses too, so we'll see how either one of us can't see today. So that's okay. Well, today will be really great. Lisa's going to through it about
sorry, Nora.
oh, sorry,
My
Laura.
real name is
You
Nora.
said Lisa, and I'm like Lisa. Laura, it's too early.
Nora Simpson. Nora Simpson. That's
Nora is going to go through assumable loans for us today. I know as a real estate veteran, I've been a real estate agent for 21 years here in Las Vegas. It's such an untapped market, but also there's just not a lot of information about it. So today we're going to talk about how to tap into these 3% mortgages in today's market. So I'm going to give it over to Nora. And if you have any questions, drop those in the chat or drop them where you are, and I'll be sure to ask those as we go along with Nora's presentation. Take it over, Nora.
that's me. I'm Nora, and I'm taking it over. So first of all, yes, you're right. And now you have to tell me your first name again because I've now
Shantae.
Shantae. Beautiful Shantae. So yes, you're right, Shantae. Very little is known about assumable mortgages, and honestly, assumable mortgages were mostly really hard to do for a really long time until now. Thank
All
you
right.
very much. Okay, how do I share my screen? Here we go. I'm doing all the wrong things. Here we go. Share screen. Here we go. It's so exciting. I'm going to share the screen. I'm going to share assume list. Here's assume list. Welcome to assume list. So there's really four things that have made assumptions hard. A lot of people just hear assumption or assumable mortgage and they go, oh my God, scary, hard, scary. I can't do it. It's not for me. And it turns out there's only four things that make it hard. And we at Assume List have done everything we can to help folks conquer those four obstacles. So the first reason assumptions have been hard in the past is that it was hard to find listings that had mortgages that were assumable. Well, we solved that because my buddy Mike Larino, who is our CEO, and since you're in Las Vegas, Shantae, we are going to do some Las Vegas searching.
Welcome to my city.
Yeah. So here, even in like a November market, look at this. Even in a November market, we've got more than 690
Wow.
properties with assumable low rate mortgages. Every single one of the mortgage, every single property that you see here in Las Vegas, and I'm making a bigger circle because right now the search term is only including addresses that include Las Vegas in the address. Now, when we include the whole larger metro area with, Henderson and Paris and all the other groups, now it's over 1,000. Over 1,000 properties have mortgages that are 100% assumable. And by assumable, I am talking about I'm going to look right into the camera, a federally guaranteed, legally regulated process where all mortgage liability is transferred from seller to buyer. Seller walks away liability free, buyer moves in with a low rate mortgage.
So you're thinking VA loans, FHA loans, those are perfect opportunities for that.
So the federally guaranteed, legally regulated process gives us access to three types of assumable mortgages because these are the three government-backed mortgages, and all government-backed mortgages are assumable. Federally guaranteed, legally regulated, assumable. So that's just like you said, VA, FHA, and USDA. Now, Las Vegas is going to have fewer USDA mortgages because USDA mortgages are generally issued within areas where there's like a fairly low population density, and Las Vegas and the suburbs are going to be somewhat higher. So you're going to see more FHA and VA.
Right.
And every single property on Assume List has an interest rate below 5%.
Wow.
Most of them have interest rates below 3.5%. Like 75% of them have interest rates below 3.5%. And you can actually see, like, do you see this rate here, 2.56%? What'd you say, hon?
That's perfect.
Yeah. You see 2.56, 2.49, right? There's a 4.73, there's a 3.51. And we can do 2.83, 2.83. We can we can narrow our search by interest rate. We can say, I don't want anything higher than 3%, right? We can narrow our search by cash gap because, the price on the market is going to be a little higher than whatever they paid for it. So we are going to have to deal with the cash gap, and the cash gap is obstacle number 3. I'm going to talk about obstacle number 2 in a second. Now, these are really assumable places. Like, look at this. You've still got 307 properties with an interest rate below 3% and a cash gap below $200,000. That's a really workable experience for most folks. So it's really exciting. Here, I'll show you a couple more things. So the first obstacle to assumable mortgages has always been finding them. We are now, Assume List now covers 48 MLSs across 24 states.
Wow.
So we are growing and growing and growing. Excuse me, sneezing on the truth. It's just the truth. So we're in Las Vegas. We're in most of California, from Sacramento down to San Diego. We're in the greater Phoenix area. We're in Honolulu, Hawaii. We're in, half the state of Virginia, all of the state of Maryland, all of the state of Delaware, most of New Jersey, the eastern half of Pennsylvania, about 70% of Florida.
Wow. So major markets.
Yeah, 5 different metro areas in Texas. I mean, just Chicago. So we're in a lot of places, and you can go to assumlist.com and click on our areas served and take a look at all the states and counties we cover. So we're passionate about making assumable mortgages available to as many people as possible with as much ease as possible. But you're still going to encounter a lot of misconceptions in the marketplace, and that's obstacle number 2. Most agents have never done even one assumption. So they don't know how they work. They hear scary stories from other agents, and they hear even scarier stories from the banks, because the banks are 100% incentivized to lie and cheat and break the law about assumptions. And so
true.
You can call any bank, any VA servicer, any FHA servicer, and you can say, hey, I noticed that my client has an FHA mortgage. Is it assumable? And there is a 70% chance that they will simply break the law and tell you, no, it's not assumable. That's illegal for them to say, but they'll say it because no one else is going to get them in trouble. Except us, we get those banks in trouble. Or they'll tell you, well, technically it's assumable, but we don't do assumptions at this bank.
Yes.
Completely illegal. You're not allowed to not do assumptions if you're going to service a federally guaranteed, mortgage. Like that's a law. It's a federally guaranteed right that, and that FHA, VA, and USDA mortgages are assumable no matter what bank is servicing them. And we at Assume List have actually filed so many complaints against the worst offending banks that sometimes the inspector general or the head of, the FHA will come in and say to the bank, we will rescind your license to service all VA loans.
Wow.
All FHA loans if you don't comply with the law. And sometimes that's what it takes to actually get the banks to comply with the law.
Yeah, I think those obstacles are the main reason why real estate's, because I'm number 2, right? The misconception. And then my misconception is number 3, which is, in my own lenders, that I work with have always stopped me at number 3, which is, yeah, but it won't cover the same thing. And so you'll have to get a second mortgage. And it really does just sound so difficult that a lot of us out there, drop in the chat, if you're one of those. But this misconception then keeps us away from great opportunities, clearly, because where can you get, a mortgage as low as 2.56? So we're being kept away from opportunities just because of the misconceptions in the
Well,
marketplace.
and a lot of agents really lean hard on their lenders, you know? They lean hard. I mean, and let's be honest, when you train to be a real estate agent, there's so much to learn, right? There's so much compliance, there's so many rules and regulations, there's so much to understand about termite inspections and, kick out clauses and there's so much contractual stuff you have to understand. There's so much physical stuff you have to understand. It's kind of a nice thing for most real estate agents that when it comes to the lending, they're like, here's your loan officer, or here's your 3 loan officers, choose one, tell me who you like, get pre-approved, and let's move. And if you really want to shop for someone that I haven't introduced you to, I can still work with you, right? And then like there's a moment where your buyer gets pre-approved, they can pay for it, and when it's time to close the deal, you just kick it over to the lender and the lender does their job, or they don't do their job and you become the person who says don't ever work with that lender, they can't close a deal, right?
Yes.
And so that's what we're used to in real estate. So it's a whole different world when you actually go to the lender, and of course the lender has all of their bank fancy schmancy people telling them, make sure you never give
Right.
anybody support for an assumption. Assumptions are the devil. No,
It's like
assumptions are,
misconceptions with reverse mortgages,
yeah,
right? That
yeah,
misconception keeps us from great
exactly.
opportunities.
And also, just assumptions are not the devil. Assumptions are merely unprofitable for banks. Like that is why banks don't like them. They lose money. Because if that 2.56% mortgage gets purchased free and clear with a conventional loan, and that 2.56% mortgage gets cleared out by the new purchase, now the bank can take that money that cleared out that 2.56% mortgage and go buy a new mortgage to service that's at 6%. And they're just going to make so much more money on that.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't want to keep servicing 2.5% and 3% mortgages. It's just the law that they have to.
So they discourage it. So
They
it
discourage
requires
it.
us to have much more knowledge in this space so that we can help them navigate around this as well.
Exactly. And I'll just show you real quick. Like our learning center is pretty comprehensive. Like we've built lots of fact sheets and guides. They're all downloadable and shareable. You can download them. Once you become a subscriber, you can download them right away. We have videos because I know not everybody likes to read, right? So we make videos that are buyer oriented, seller oriented, agent oriented, busy market oriented, all of that. We have, live training, features walkthroughs. We have scripts for how to talk to other agents about how assumptions work. We have scripts for how to advertise yourself as someone who knows about assumptions. And then we have all the documents and forms that you'll need for actually getting an assumption under contract and making sure all the assumption related contingencies are covered in a legal contractual way.
It
So
sounds
we
like
have
this
all
is
of
a
that.
great opportunity for listing agents
Oh,
too, as
tremendous.
we move into a market that leans more towards buyers, depending on your marketplace. Um, this is a great opportunity for your listing presentations because, like, hey, I've got an avenue to open us up to another audience of people. So it sounds
For
like that's a
sure.
really great opportunity.
Absolutely. And I'll show you something else. Here, I'm going to clear my filter. We have for listing agents, we have this thing called a featured listing. So featured listings can actually be seen on Assume List without being a subscriber. And so for not a lot of money, listing agents can, get their full assumable listing listed with all this fancy data. Look at this. Like you can find out
Yes.
interest rate, the loan balance, the estimated mortgage payment, right? All of this would usually only be viewable for folks who are subscribers. And what we've done is we've built Assume List for agents by agents. So we created Assume List so that it would be a tool you could use for your buyers and your sellers. So for your buyers, you actually have these things called client sub accounts, and you can actually create a client sub account. So Shantae, you could become an Assume List subscriber, create a client sub account,
Oh.
and basically allow anyone who has a signed buyer agreement with you to search the entire state of Nevada for
Oh,
assumable
that's
properties.
nice.
Isn't that cool? And that's not something they're going to find anywhere else, right? They're not going to find it on Zillow, right? They're not going to find it on Redfin. They can't, like on Zillow, if you type the word assumable into Zillow, you will get fewer than 10% of the assumable properties that you would find if you did it through AssumeList. Because fewer than 10% of assumable properties are even advertised as assumable.
And that's another issue because as a real estate agent, I know when you go into the MLS and say we were looking for properties
Mm-hmm.
that would you may maybe qualify for assumable, when you go to
Mm-hmm.
search, financing terms, it's almost never checked. And I think that comes back to the misinformation because listing agents are not considering that. So it actually is a better reason to put into your listing presentations because in this market they say that there's only inches between you and your competition, just
100%. 100%.
and this could be an inch closer that will beat out even the most popular listing agent in your marketplace.
Absolutely. And the truth is, I mean, the only 10% of the marketplace is assumable, give or take. I mean, maybe it's higher in Las Vegas. If you know a lot of folks who have FHA mortgages or VA mortgages, it might be great, right?
Mhm.
But we actually have an off-market feature as well, which I'm happy to show you, where you can do mailing campaigns and contact people who have assumable properties and try to like create that farm. So I can show this to you real quick. So if we take this circle in Las Vegas and we go, let's see, how many do we have in Las Vegas? We have, about 551 in this area, right? So now in this same area, let me look off market, 34,000.
Wow.
Yeah. And
A good
yeah,
list to
total.
call.
Yeah,
So
good
far.
list to call, right? And if we just, let's see, if we just do a little tech, like let's say we just only want to be just a little bit like right here. I'm trying to, come on, you can do it, little Zumbist. It's being weird on me. Let me just show you. I'm trying to, yeah, there we go. So if I just do that teeny tiny area and I say, this is the only area I'm interested in for whatever reason, right? 79.
Oh, you just pinpoint my house. That is so weird.
That is
just
weird, but God's in
just
charge.
yeah.
So let's say I'm interested in those like few little blocks and there's only 79 properties. I can create a mail campaign and every person will receive a handwritten letter in a colorful envelope, first class postage, hand addressed envelopes. You can send up to 5,000 letters, but we advise going a little bit less than that in the beginning. And then we actually wrote mail templates for you.
Wow.
So it's pretty cool. And you can also, oh, this was fun. I'll show you this. You can select different envelopes. So there's different envelope
Oh, it
designs,
looks like a greeting card, and you're more
right?
likely to open it. Oh, that's smart.
Our open rates are super, super high compared to traditional mailings. And,
Very smart.
before I became head of education for AssumeList, I taught the neuroscience of sales to hundreds and hundreds of agents across the country. So, we use some of my neuroscience of sales for all this. So
Smart.
yeah, generating new listings, totally workable with AssumeList. Helping your buyers understand. I mean, this is the other thing. A lot of people want to sell or they want to move, but they don't feel like they can move because how can they justify leaving behind a 3% mortgage for a 6% mortgage? Right?
Absolutely. You'd be happy to have a 6% mortgage at this point.
Right? So a 3% mortgage, when you're working with somebody, even if they have a 3% conventional mortgage that's not assumable, they are still eligible to assume someone else's mortgage. So you could say to them, look, if you're feeling stuck in rate lock, we really can open your options because I have access to this special platform and I'm going to give you a free buyer sub account and we're going to go shopping for properties that have 2.5% and 3.5% mortgages. And when we go shopping for that, we'll be able to make some really smart financial decisions on your behalf. And then
Did
all of
you
a sudden,
say that they could be conventional um, and still purchase on the assumables?
So this is what I want you to understand. So if
Okay.
you're selling a home that has a conventional mortgage,
Correct.
that conventional mortgage is not assumable.
Right.
But most people who are selling their home, they've got to move somewhere, and only a small percentage are moving cities. Most of them are just moving because they're upsizing or downsizing, or they want to be in a different neighborhood, they want to be closer to the school or closer to work, right?
Right.
So any human who is financially qualified for the debt can assume an FHA mortgage. Most people don't know that. Most people assume that if you're going to assume an FHA mortgage, you have to conform to FHA program limitations. You do not.
Oh.
Most people assume that if you want to take on an FHA mortgage, you would have to be buying your first home or within an income limit or something along those lines. None of that applies to FHA assumptions.
Wow.
So any human being who is financially qualified for that amount of debt and can purchase, can come up with a good enough, number for the seller to be happy, can assume an FHA mortgage as long as they are willing to live in the property.
Wow.
And they only have to live in the property for 12 months.
So I love to see opportunity that gives me that extra inch, above my competition.
Mm-hmm.
And this sounds like a great virtual, like a webinar, where you're literally able to tap into a market of buyers who just have no idea. So I think between the scripts, and maybe using some of the list as call to actions, behind your videos. And this could be a completely different marketing strategy that agents add, to their 2026 business plan. So sounds great.
Absolutely. And just so you know, anybody can assume a VA mortgage as long as the VA seller is willing to split off the percentage of their VA entitlement that's tied to the property. And believe it or not, about 1 in 4 VA sellers are willing to do that because about 1 in 4 of them are in this one of these situations. Do you see what I'm looking at here? So even though FHA is usually the one that anyone can do as long as they're buying a home, VA, any non-veteran can assume a VA loan where the veteran is willing to part with entitlement, and any investor. With FHA, you got to live there for the first 12 months.
Oh.
But any investor can assume a VA mortgage if the veteran seller is willing to leave behind entitlement. And that's where investors get very excited.
Interesting. And you see 1 in 4 veterans willing to do that.
Right. Now, it does take some education on the part of the buyer's agent, right? Because the buyer's agent has to help the listing agent understand, hey, there's a formula to this seller's entitlement, and they're actually only going to lose this much because it's based on the initial loan amount. This is getting into more esoteric details. This is why we have a daily Q&A 5 mornings a week at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific. I'm there 5 mornings a week, every single day, 11 a.m. I should warn you guys, though, if you're more than 20 minutes late, you will miss it. Because on the days when no one shows up for the first 20 minutes, I do shut it down. But if I've got people, then I'll stay on for the full hour, But I'm there every day for at least 20 minutes. So be on time, come to that live Q&A. Anyone can come to the live Q&A. I think the live Q&A link gets posted in this chat sometimes, hopefully.
Okay,
perfect. But it's also available at homes.assumeless.com/learn. I'll just put it in the.
Perfect. Because that's definitely some valuable information.
Absolutely. And so I'm there every day. So we don't need you to become a subscriber to start learning about assumptions. This is the live daily training for subscribers and guests, meaning it's open to everyone. And once you become a subscriber, you're going to have this whole opportunity available to you where you have things to give both buyers and sellers that no one else in your market has. Fewer than 1% of agents even understand all the things that we teach about assumptions, even understand 1/10 of what we teach about assumptions.
Which all you need is a little inch to
separate
you from your competition.
Well, and I'll tell you something else, which is that at Assume List, one of the reasons we know all this and have all this figured out is that my boss, Mike Larino, the CEO of Assume List, he created the assumption industry. Like, he ferociously advocated with the VA and the FHA to enforce these regulations. He got the VA to issue certain things in writing that they had never issued in writing before. I mean,
Wow.
in many ways, Assume List isn't just a company. We're an advocacy organization because we want to see real estate agents win, and we want to see, regular American families win. And we know that they can. And we know that these laws exist, and we know that, like, it just takes a certain level of, like, oomph and passion to get these laws to be enforced. And we've done everything we can to get them enforced. And we actually went through, Mike and I interviewed dozens of lenders before we found our current preferred lender. And we did kiss a few frogs along the way. We did have a few other lenders in the past that, didn't quite measure up to what they promised. But the preferred lender we work with now is super, super great. He is an expert in the second mortgage pieces when people need second mortgages, when they're doing assumptions. He's an expert at helping folks find really, really appealing alternatives if they decide they want to go the primary mortgage route, because he's licensed in 49 states and he can get banks in different states to compete against each other for your buyer's business. So we're really passionate about making sure that we help as many families as possible get to the finish line, either with assumptions or with saving money, right? And so we've found all these ways to save people money. So our lender is really great about that. And then we've also created this easy button team that does all the ferocious advocacy, with the banks, and reports the banks to the right people at the agencies, at the regulatory agencies.
Honest.
Go ahead. Say that one more time.
I said you are there to keep them honest.
That's right. We keep them honest, because the truth is, if there's no enforcement at all, if there's no consequences at all, people will break the law. Sadly.
Absolutely. So I know one of the questions in the chat was whether or not you cover all 50 states. And I think you say you're in about 24?
We are in 48 metro areas in 24 states.
24 states. Okay.
So, but also, like, we're in Texas, but we're not in every county of Texas. We're in Dallas. We're in the greater Dallas area, greater Houston area, greater Austin, greater San Antonio, and we're about to open up in El Paso. So if you're in Tyler, Texas, we don't cover Tyler, Texas, right? So, we want to be in all 50 states, but that's 400 MLSs. Yep. So, that being said, we're doing everything we can to grow as fast as we can.
I think that's great. Now, you mentioned having a lender that is licensed in almost all of the
He's licensed in 49 states. The only state he's not licensed in is New York, my home state, but that's allowable.
Well, they have different rules there. So
yeah, we do.
I could definitely,
New York is a little wacky.
Yeah. I could definitely understand that. Now, do you have one lender you work with, or is there an option for a couple just in case, personalities don't match or whatever that looks like? Do you have someone, other than the one person?
We have a couple of people we can refer you to if you really can't stand our main preferred lender. But I'll tell you, we've kissed a lot of frogs, and we think our main preferred lender is pretty awesome. And he's got a 6-person team. They work 7 days a week. He's actually the number one lender out of 1,800 loan officers at his brokerage. So we're pretty bullish on him. We think he's pretty great. But we'll never tell you don't use your lender. We'll just say, if you're going to use your lender, make sure they know how to do the wraparound financing. They know about the purchase HELOC. Make sure they do that. And your lender can come on the Q&A, and our preferred lender is there every day. So our preferred lender is a very open-hearted, generous guy. He'll happily explain all this to folks. But we're so confident that our preferred lender is really great at helping real estate agents look amazing and look like they're saving their look like, and actually, follow through on, actually saving their clients a lot of money. We actually give a free month of Assume List to anyone who gets a buyer pre-approved with our preferred lender. That's how much we believe in him. And that's an unlimited offer. So if you get 12 buyers pre-approved with our lender, you get 12 free months of Assume List.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if your presentation is almost over, but do you want to talk about pricing at all? Is there a website you want to send them to? I do see our wonderful moderators in there have dropped the one for the webinar if anyone wants to hop on that. I know there's some questions about the recording. Don't worry about that. It's going to be on Lab Coat Agents YouTube. Is there anything else you would like to share with our wonderful audience today that
Sure.
they
I
need?
think there's Assume List. I think it's assumlist.com/LCA. I think that's where.
Oh, that's perfect.
I think is that the, no, maybe it's homes.assumlist.com/LCA. I'm trying to remember. I feel like our moderators have this. Do you guys want to put the LCA discount in?
Yeah, I'm sure they will. Wonderful moderators. If you can drop in the link for LCA as well as any benefits or discounts. Real estate agents love discounts.
I know. Who doesn't? Who doesn't love a discount?
We're all business owners, and everything comes out of our pocket, so we love a good discount.
Absolutely.
Anytime
Maybe it's Lab Coat Agents. Maybe that's it. I'm just trying to remember what it is. Yes, that's it.
There it is.
Assumlist.com/Lab Coat Agents. Phew. So you get a discount if you go to assumlist.com/Lab Coat Agents.
Perfect.
But the truth is, you can get yourself a free account if you just start getting your folks pre-approved with our lender. And I would strongly recommend come to our Q&A every Monday through Friday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, every day. At realestatecontent.ai is not us. I don't know why they're putting a different ad up there.
Disregard that, but you know where you need to go. assumlist.com/lab coat agents to get 15% off. And then if you do 12 buyers, right, you get 12 months.
Yeah, and one buyer gets you 1 month free, 3 buyers gets you 3 months free. Like, it's just, and it's not, you don't even have to make a deal. You just get the buyer pre-approved with our lender. And that buys you your free month of Assume List.
So that's it. You don't have to see it through and then to the closing table. They just need to get pre-approved and ready to go with that lender, and you've already earned a month.
Absolutely. I had somebody who they were an agent and they were looking to buy their next home, so they referred themselves to that lender.
Oh, well.
And they got their first month free, and then they got their next month free. And
I love creative ways to save money, especially in this market. It costs a lot more than what you necessarily make. So I think it's a wonderful opportunity. Are there any other questions? If you have some questions, go ahead and drop those in the chat. We are going to get done. I know we're about 6 minutes over. We had some good conversation going on, but if you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to the team. You will find this on YouTube, and that's been put in the chat. And then remember, if you want that 15% discount, go to assumlist.com/lab coat agents. And if you want additional information on that, you can go and see Nora every morning, Monday through Friday. And you can also go to homes.assumlist.com/learn. If you want to see Nora tomorrow morning, I'll be on, so I'll see you tomorrow morning, Nora.
That's right. We're gonna talk all about assumable mortgages, and we're gonna have so much fun.
I think that's a great opportunity. Remember, there's only inches between you and your competition. Thank you so much, Nora, for giving us this information. Goodbye, everyone. From Lab Coat Agents, make it an amazing. It's only Wednesday. That means you still have 4 additional days to make a deal and get a buyer or get your listing in contract. If there's anything that Lab Coat Agents to do to help you be great, please let us know. Thank you so much, Nora.